What's good, everybody? This is Clay Gregory coming back to y'all from Metal Labs, and I've got a tremendous young man that's going to be rapping with me today, and hope to give us some light about how you got to where you are right now and what your journey is. And everybody, welcome Nintendo.
Hey, how are you guys doing? I guess it's this evening, or yeah,
It don't matter,
this
man.
evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, this evening. How you guys
Depending on
doing
what
this
time they
evening?
check in, right?
For sure.
Yeah. So Nintendo, what's your real name?
Darnell.
Okay.
A lot of people know me probably as Keith
Okay.
because that's on my birth certificate. So you know how that go when you're in school. So
Yeah.
if your middle name is a little bit more popular than your first, then yeah. So I go by Darnell.
Yeah, I get you, man. You know, us as growing up in the black community, man, a lot of us got a number of different names. We got
For sure.
people call us by our first name. We got sports; they call us by our last name. My people call me Clay, which is my middle name. My first name is Henry, but everyone growing up called me Clay. And then I got my nickname that my friends call me, which is something totally different. So, you know, you preaching to the choir with that.
How am I?
Yeah. All right, but where you originally from?
Temple Hills, Maryland.
Okay. All right. So Temple Hills, Maryland. How old are you?
I'm 33 years old.
33 years old, which means that you were kind of you were growing up in what's that, like the late 90s, early 2000s, kind of coming of age for you. Is that
Early '90s, I experienced the '90s R&B for what it really was.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I experienced that vibe. I was alive when Tupac was alive. I experienced the death of Tupac and a lot of other greats. But that was what a time that was to experience hip hop at that time, to be able to compare it to what it is right now. So I guess you could say I came from that era. But yeah, early '90s, so
Okay.
the 2000s and all of that.
all right? And so what was life like? You know, growing up in that area, in that hood and
Well, I was
space.
pretty privileged,
Okay.
growing up. My mom did well for herself, so I was privileged enough to have babysitters who were in different situations financially that had me to come home and appreciate it. So, in my coming of age, I used to wear it as oh yeah, I'm this or I'm that. Nah, you had a visitor's pass and you went over there and you experienced that life and it shaped you for what you appreciate in life. So
Right.
that's what it was for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm Temple Hills. My mom is a mortician. She been doing it for about 40 years. We have a unique relationship. You know what I'm saying? But if it wasn't for a lot of the sacrifice she made during the '90s, the city under siege days and stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
you would learn to appreciate life the way that she was trying to, give it to me. So it was a unique silver spoon in my eyes.
That's what's up. So it sounds like your mother's like like a hero in your life.
She's
Yeah.
a lot of yeah. She
Okay.
is
Yeah. Shout out to moms, man, for
sure.
being a strong black sister there.
For
Okay.
sure, for sure.
All right. And so, let me ask you this: when was the first time you realized that you weren't perfect?
When everything I did perfect got me there with imperfection.
Okay. All right. Explain that one to me. That's deep.
When I went viral the first time for nails, I wasn't doing nails nowhere near as good as you would think that would even have people to put it on that type of stage. And that's kind of what stunted my growth because at that time I was unaware of what was going on and it was a lot of opinions and I was just going in the sways of things. And if I understood at that time what it was, my brand would have been protected and be a lot further off than what I thought. But my nails weren't the best. I was just a black guy doing nails, and that held a lot of weight. And with that, I said I wasn't perfect, and here's a perfect situation that turned out. And that's just one example of many that I feel like I can give, but that's one off top that I felt like I was able to think through enough where someone could say, "Oh yeah, I get it."
Yeah, I
You
like
know?
that. Yeah, and it's certainly going in the pathway of doing nails is that one might consider that unorthodox. Have you always been someone who kind of thought outside of the box and kind of was more, looking at life kind of non-conventionally, or
I mean, now that I'm in therapy, I used to wear it as a crutch.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I really look at it as my higher power showing me ways to stay on point with my destiny. You know what I mean? Because finding those clues and hues don't take money. It really takes you having the perfect relationships and having the right conversations at the right time that you're supposed to. So understanding that, it's just like, I'm okay with being a black sheep, but yeah, most people would tell you. But if you've seen the things that I do, you know they're not erratic. You know it's a purpose and there's a meaning behind everything. Not to walk around with that bravado, but I mean, typically, if you were to ask someone about all their tattoos, they really can't give you, but I can. You know,
Yeah.
so that's one way of putting it.
I like that, man.
Thank you.
So you're teaching me with this, like, so in regards to like being a nail technician and having the skill around it, like how much creativities do you use in that, or is it more skill based?
Um, I would say that we would use a Venn diagram. We would just put skill and talent on one side, and then you would put passion, drive, and niche on the other side.
Got you.
And then in the middle, where they both coincide, is you just having the willpower to keep going based on how you are being received in the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always received as a taboo in the industry. Every time I do somebody's nails, they're asking me why, how, when, and what made you. I never can sit down and just have the talent to just do it. So that's what let me know my story was built for ministry, and it was built to be an instrument to help other people.
That's what's
I'm
up.
not supposed to be the best nail tech.
Yeah.
I'm in product sales and marketing. Like, you give me a product, I just want the right company to come to me and say, Nintendo, sell this, and we'll do this for your kids, and just pay me a little bit, and just, I'm good. But I've lost so much dealing with this industry that I now see that it's not going to take a real selfish act this go around.
Got you, man. You that was real deep there, man. And for those who are out there, he mentioned a Venn diagram. And a Venn diagram, imagine taking a circle on one side of information. Let's say in that circle you have the color red, and then in another circle you have the color blue. And then when you bring those two together, the space in between those is a little piece of purple. So, I'm just trying to make sure that people can stick with you, man, because you're a deep brother, man. So, you mentioned a lot of things that were like buzzwords for me. You mentioned purpose, and you mentioned, having a calling on your life, and those things. So, purpose. What is how did you find your purpose?
I'm still looking.
Okay. All right. Okay. And the journey of still looking, like, what's that look like for you?
It's a blur.
Okay, it's a blur. All right. Do you plan to find purpose, or do you, or is purpose like something that subconsciously happens?
And this could be kind of creeping over into my emotional intelligence side, where I just kind of want to remain humble in the sense that I just feel like I kind of have it, I think.
Yeah.
And from the characteristics of people who have been known to carry these attributes, I now want to move in that direction. So when you talk about purpose and all of that, it's an innate thing in your heart that you constantly are like trying to figure out, like, this ain't for me. And I can't do nothing, erratic or emotional, because I have little girls. And if you're, I'm not gonna say a real father, but if you're in your daughter's life, you know that even disciplining them, you can't be emotional. You know what I mean? You have to be solid, because they are doing the crying. And if they see you cry, they will stop crying. But the whole time they crying, they're trying to figure out, Dad, what's going on? No, okay, let me cry. And then they instantly get into protect mode.
Yeah.
Like, take, for example, here recently, for the past couple of months, I've been in Airbnbs and sleeping in my car and stuff, and I still had my daughter. I put my daughter in situations where she could lay down, but I was in the car asleep. But I was saving my money for the down payment on an apartment that I got. My credit ain't the best. So I had to hit them with that 2 months. But as soon as I got in there, it was just me and her. And she ain't know what was going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She was just laughing, doing twirls and circles. And I did shed a tear. And she looked. And I'm not going to say I won't never do that again, but I'll be a little bit more choosy in moments where I will show that vulnerability to her, because I got to stay strong always. and I have 2 girls.
Okay.
You know, I'm saying I love them equally. I do whatever for them. It's just, my situation with parenting them is a little complicated, but with both of the moms, we're ironing it out, and
Okay.
things are
Good.
doing perfect in that light. So
Good. How
we
old are they?
they both 2. I got Irish twins.
Okay. Oh wow, that's what's up. Okay. Yeah. Irish twins. There. You know what? How many months apart?
6.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's. So and our, is your intention to raise them together closely?
Absolutely.
I love it.
And where I know that is genuine is when it's time. Like I'm on a 3-day schedule with one child, and my other child is I see her all the time. I talk to her all the time, but it could be a little bit more consistent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But her mom is going through a lot too, so I'm very empathetic of that, and I know that that's the reason why it puts a strain on me seeing her as much. So I know even when people see me on Instagram, they're like, probably why I show one child more. It's just because I consistently have that child, and if I'm gonna consistently show myself, I'm consistently show my child. Trust me, if I have my other child, it'll be double of that. But I'm just working through that, and the patience is showing me that I'm getting more time. And even when I showed my other child on the gram, I looked at the views, and the person that I'm using as image counsel, she was like, "Look at that," you know what I'm saying? And I just was like, "Yeah." So people are attentive to my story in that sense, and it's making sense.
Yeah, and we put a spotlight on fathers that are using emotional intelligence and are committed to being of giving their children a good platform to be able to grow and flourish in their life, man. So as far as fathering, like who did you receive your fathering from?
I didn't. I don't really know what that feels like.
Okay,
I've been around a lot of feminine energy my whole life.
okay. If there were to be somebody that and fathering is an interesting dynamic, right? So a person can have a father in their life or might not have a father in their life, but the fathering. Sometimes we even get our fathering from like a grandmother or from sometimes seeing a neighbor and how that person parented, could have an influence. There's a large population of folks who grew up in the '80s who saw Huxtable. What's his name from
Leave it to be.
The Cosby Show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Cliff Huxtable as the father, and they acted out. So, what was there somebody that you could say was kind of the role model of father that you wanted to be?
I wish our relationship was a lot closer, but his name is Dr. Michael A. Freeman.
Okay.
He's an apostle, I would say.
Okay.
But I watched this man from from birth speak things like what faith in a man can do. I don't even know if he sells that sermon anymore, but it stuck with me. I was there when Faith Plaza in Temple Hills, that was just a rundown mall. I got my first splinter walking in that parade because I tripped. And I didn't realize that I probably shedded some blood on holy ground, not to get, morbid or anything like that. But when you are a believer like me, the blood symbolizes some very important things. And that's where I started to look at it. Like anytime I got around that, thing of trying to get back into my belief system with my higher power, it reverences to that man. You know what I'm saying? He's always been an example in my eyes of someone who can have a bravado of flash, but still maintain his integrity. Where it's like, y'all said this about me, but now what? You know what I'm saying? And all of the materialistic things that man would want, he has. And you really don't know he has it till you get into his personal space. And that let me know he was humble.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. So, and then based off of that example, what are your goals as a dad?
I mean, I'm kind of jealous because if I had me as a dad, I think I would have took a better direction. Or if I had the direction of me from that masculine side, I would have a balance.
Okay.
I was talking to my talent manager not too long ago, and she was telling me about my imbalances. You know what I'm saying? And getting those correct. And that's where it becomes a little bit more deeper than me taking my sobriety serious. And I say sobriety because I know this is hypocritical, but marijuana I don't count that. That's something else. I apologize for people who are like, oh, but I'm working on it. But alcohol is my demon, and I choose not to tolerate that.
Okay. Well, I'm looking. Okay. Yeah. So let's continue forward with kind of how you became the man that you are today. So, um, what high school you go to
Woodrow Wilson Senior High School.
in DC?
I went to a couple high schools. I went to
Okay.
Woodrow Wilson. I got kicked out of Eleanor Roosevelt,
Okay.
and I got expelled from Crossland.
That's what's up, man. What year were you at Wilson?
Well, I was there for my freshman year,
Okay.
and then I left because my mom was like, "This was too much of a distraction." If you know Wilson, it always carried a reputation for having very attractive scene.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that kind of went to my head. So my mom took me out, and she sent me to live with my dad down in Stafford County, and I went to Colonial Forge, and that was also a problem. You know what I'm saying? So she brought me back, and our only school that she was able to get me in at that time was Eleanor Roosevelt. We used someone else's address. I had become popular there, and I wasn't doing my work, and I told a student that, I'm not from there, this, and a teacher heard it, and she told my homeroom teacher, and they found out my address was fraud, and they kicked me out. So I had to go back to Crossland. I played a lot, you know what I'm saying? I had bad grades the whole nine.
Yeah.
And there was a situation where I was horse playing, and a teacher got involved, and she accidentally got hurt. But it made me look like a person that assaulted the teacher, and that wasn't, the case. So I got expelled. So here I am walking with this bad boy image with a good boy heart. You know what I'm saying? My mom understood that. So she was able to get me in Wilson.
Okay.
And this time at Wilson, she was like, "Come on, I know I'm sending you back to the wolves, but do me this one solid because I can't send you nowhere else." And I graduated. You know what I'm saying? My grades were decent, but I'm able to say that I come from a alum of a camaraderie of people who have bright minds, because that school is ideal for people who have bright minds who can afford a private school education.
Yeah. What year you come out?
2009.
Okay. All right. So just a little small fact, I went to Wilson too. Yeah, and I came out 90. And matter of fact, my son who works at, both of my boys graduated from Wilson, the oldest one, and then by the time the youngest one was coming out, they changed the name to Jackson Reed.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so bad when people say, "What high school you go to?" I say Wilson. They go like this. I say, "Wow, I'm aging."
Yeah, so of course we representing for the Tigers. So
For sure.
Yeah, DC Public Schools, man, proud products of it. So after high school, where'd you go?
I was that guy who thought he was cool, and I didn't really have a plan. So I worked at the movies, and I was a lifeguard, and I scored just well enough to get into the United States Navy.
Okay.
That was, I want to say, about a year and a half after being out of high school. So I was the one that my mom every day on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know your day off, but you're in my house breathing my air. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know them conversations, man. So it was
it
that.
ain't cheap when
For
you,
sure.
when you talk about your mama house.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. So the Navy, man. Like, so where'd they have you stationed? Where were you at?
So I did my boot camp in Great Lakes, and then
Was that tough? What was boot camp like?
mentally it was, but
Okay.
mentally it conditioned me, and I think of all of my situations through life off of that training. You know what I'm saying? I still feel like I'm in the military.
Right.
And then once we unravel my downfall in the military, you'll understand how that traumatically changed everything.
Okay. All right. So yeah, let's continue forward in it. So, you want to talk about that? You brought it up.
Well, I've always had an issue with addiction, you know what I'm saying? But my drug of choice always switched, and it never really affected my image. But K2 at the time of 2009, it had a hold on me. And it was way before it became, is it an epidemic or a pandemic?
Yeah.
It's an epidemic.
Epidemic, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that then. Even, there were situations where I've heard people who got in the military that said they're recruiters, were telling them you could get it from here, it won't do this or this. Like, the recruiters are very cool, down-to-earth people, and as long as you don't lie to them, they will help you out. Not to make that seem so dark, but they'll look out for you if you're honest. And that's how I even heard about it. So when I got out of boot camp, I came home and I messed with it a bit, and I was just like, wow, is there any way for me to take this down there? Because I don't know if I'll be able to buy it. So I did. As soon as I got down there and got gas on base, it was a poster on the wall that was like, if you're caught with spice or any of this, like, you're automatically kicked out the Navy. It was like, what? And that intensified my will to want to keep doing it. So let's just say I did it for years, never got caught. You know what I mean? Came home from deployment with a nice little check, you know what I mean, indulged. And then I realized there were other sailors that did it. But then it became a witch hunt, you know, when we came home. People were telling on each other. People were getting in trouble for stuff that didn't even have relations to spice. And they were saying, well, I know something else. Well, that wasn't my situation. There was a situation where somebody did tell the Chiefs mess about my involvement with it, but I was a stellar sailor. I got my ESWAS pin on my first deployment as an E1. I didn't play no games. You know what I'm saying? I was a war room cook. I never got in trouble. They used to call me a Joe Navy motherfucker, if you know what that means. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't play because I had so much failure. Remember I told you about imperfections leading to perfection.
Right.
So I built this rapport and reputation that I thought if I ever got in trouble or needed a get out of jail free card, it would help, and it didn't. I came back from what we would normally do on these weekends for just going out to sea and doing sea games, and I just was feeling myself this day. My car was at the shop. I just got rims and stereo put on it, and I drove to a nearby car wash, and I was blasting my radio, but I was already high, and the paraphernalia was on the passenger side. So I get out the car, and the police officers are walking towards me, but I'm so high, I hallucinated and ran away from my car. In the middle of me running, I stopped. I said, oh, shit. The stuff is in the passenger seat. And I lost my high right there. Turned around. They told me to stop. They went through it. Took me back to my ship. I got in my whites, and they bust me down right then and there.
Damn.
They took everything from me.
Damn.
And it wasn't that I was forewarned. What made it worse was I was just in a situation where I was accused, and my good name is where people was like, all right, we're not going to look into it, but keep your name and your nose clean. And I abused that. And not only they took everything from me, I stayed on the ship for about 60 days, so that was hell. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize how important that was going to be. Not important. I didn't realize how much of a dent that was going to put on my mental health later on down the line. It built strongholds. That's what Joyce Meyer would say.
Okay.
But it built strongholds. So once I got out, I went into a workforce development program called Year Up. I excelled at that and the desktop support sector, and I got my first internship with Blackboard. That worked good. I met an awesome woman named Aminata Conda, and she really showed me the ropes of being an African American and understanding how important it was to be in the IT sector because she was African.
Okay.
And they just go a little bit harder for how they move in those sectors, and they just want us to like appreciate, being black and having citizenship and where that lies. And once I understood that, I started moving different.
Got you.
They weren't able to keep me because I didn't get my A+ certification in an amount of time, and I actually never got it. And they sent me to another company called CEB. They ended up getting bought out by Gardner, they was located in Roslyn next to a company called Deloitte, and they gave me my first severance package. It was for about 2 months. So I left there, and I went to a company called Artex. Artex was in Landover. It's a fine arts company. Shout out to my girl Tamika. She seen the tattoos, and she just seen my resume, and she said, I'm going to get this guy a chance.
That's what's
I actually want to apologize to her because I was doing some good work there. And a friend of mine had hit me and was like, yo, there's a position at the Department of Labor. You should get down here right now. Ironically, I had a wrinkled up suit in my trunk. I put it on, and I put my 2 weeks notice in, and I left because I just knew I was going to get it. So at this time, it was 2017, 16, the marijuana laws are thin. They're not what they are now. You know what I'm saying? So I went in there high, got it, and then the guy was like, oh, before you go, can you do a urinalysis?
Wow.
And I couldn't, you know what I'm saying? At that moment, I had lost everything. And I didn't even tell probably Tamika that.
Okay.
Because she said, yeah, we've just filled your position because you just let it go. And then that let me know not only that she was taking a chance on me, but that my worth was so low that she probably put her neck on the line for me, and I embarrassed her. You know what I'm saying? So I do want to apologize for that now that I got the floor to do that.
Yeah.
But that transcended in me into doing nails. Because that same day I went to Iverson Mall, my head was low, but I got some cookies. And everybody know how them cookies flow down there.
Good joints. Which ones did you get?
There's only one Jones to get. I don't think nobody else ever got in there. If somebody went over there and got like, yeah, let me get some chocolate chip, somebody gonna be like, I think they only sell Snickerdoodle at this point.
Yeah.
But I got a $5 worth being frugal.
That's a stack of cookies. That's a whole bag.
I come from a different era. You know what I'm saying? So I went downstairs and I passed an all-black salon called Snob Nails, and I ran into a beautiful individual named London. I can't really give you her last name right now, but she took a shot on me. I went in, inquired about a pedicure. They had a pedicure chair there, and no one did pedicures. And she was like, "Yo, you're kind of disturbing my flow. What can I do for you?" So she gave me a manicure, and she charged me $75. And I said, "Yo, if I'm gonna pay that, you gotta paint my nails black." So she did, and she put on her live, and it bubbled a little bit. It made people say, "Yo, what the fuck going on?" Sorry for cussing, but
That's good.
what's going on?
Yeah.
And she poured into me. I invested into myself. She said it's gonna cost $1,000. I ran to the ATM. I just got that severance package. Gave her $1,000. I had like 5 left. Came back the next day. The shop was closed down, and she gave me the game.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I would say I caught on rather quick, but I went in not even thinking that being viral or being even cool for it was a thing. I was prepared for people to call me gay and everything else. So I was mentally sharpening up my mind for those insults, and it reversed itself. That same pedicure chair I inquired about that nobody touched, I put a sign up that said I was doing $5 pedicures. I was messing people's toes up, but they weren't paying me $5. They were paying me $25, $30. So I saved it. I was able to pay her the booth rent, and then there was a situation that happened where we had to go our separate ways, and I had to go rogue. So I really did go get my license, and that's where I met a woman named Shantae, Creative School of Nails. She has an awesome school. I would say I'm an alma mater. That's where you graduate from.
All right.
But I went to her with the last part of my severance package, and it was like $2,200. I drove over there on a donut tire, and a quarter tank of gas. I already bought them on, gave it to her, and I was like, "Yo, can I get $5 back just to get back to back home?"
Wow.
But I had paid for my tuition full, so she gave me 10. I went home, and I just kind of just soaked for a minute and just embraced the fact that education is going to be a little bit more better than me surviving. So I got accustomed with going to pillar to post to try to, find a leverage to keep this nail journey going because it was getting expensive.
Yeah.
I graduated nail school. I ended up getting my license, and as soon as I graduated, I got a call from a random nail salon. I was like, "Yo, we've been following your shop called Mavana's Nails and Wax." That went so well.
Wow.
You know what I'm
That's
saying? And what ended up happening was that shop ended up going through foreclosure. So the people there was like, "We can't pay you, so you could just take whatever you want." So I took everything. If you look at those pictures next to all that polish, all of that came home with me.
Wow.
That salon was damn near empty. And it was easy for them to sell the other stuff because I took all the product. Right. But I used to be the only, it was Vietnamese owned, and they just magically started to disappear. That usually happens when I come. But they just left, and they left me with all that clientele, and I took care of them.
Wow.
So I would say I'm not a legend in Rockville, but if you whisper through the cracks, somebody will tell you or they'll remember. And what was crazy was before they went through foreclosure, the company I work for now, Lifetime Fitness, shout out to them. Yeah. They had a liaison come over and get a pedicure, and she took me back over there to do a tour. That was 2019. And let's just say fast forward, when they went through foreclosure, I went back, and the salon was filled, and I just never could get a job there. Now fast forward, 5 years later, I now work there as a nail tech. But I have an understanding and appreciation for why I would never lose that job or position no matter how many hours I worked there, because I remember when I tried to get there and I had the opportunity, I missed it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So things come back full circle. And for me to be in Rockville, I would say that Rockville as a city is taking very, very good care of me.
Okay, good stuff.
The soccer moms and senior citizens out there, I wouldn't say they love me, but they have a soft spot for me.
Okay, let me ask you this as well, brother. So we're all familiar with, like, say, toxic masculinity, right? And toxic masculinity says that men are supposed to do certain types of careers and they're not supposed to do other things. And you've had the courage to stand and as a heterosexual man go into something that many men would be afraid to do. You mind talking about, like, where that courage came from and that sense of independence? And has there been any losses that you've experienced, maybe through friendships or things like that, for the choices that you made?
I'm an avid reader, so I'm actually challenging myself to finish Nipsey Hussle's book reading list.
Okay.
And there was a book on there called The Way of a Superior Man. And if you have an understanding of the feminine and masculine role as a man, you become a little bit fluid when you are in certain realms where one, line of gender becomes a little bit more potent than the other. So take, for example, in the industry I work in, it's a lot more feminine, but I was brought up around a lot of feminine energy. So my emotional intelligence is out the roof. I'm not really the smartest intellect-wise when it comes to math and stuff, but I can be emotionally intelligent because that's all I was around was women, and they are emotional.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where it gives me a plus is if I can really tap into that imbalance I have on the masculine side to understand how to maneuver around that where it doesn't make me look feminine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So having that has had me to be able to have an armor to go in here and be like, you call me gay, all right, cool. Lately, I've been a little bit more aggressive about certain people because they come for the character of the guy who chooses to put polish on. In my sense, this is to show my followers the comparison between OPI and Dazzle Dry Polish, which I would hope to get a deal with because they're just safe and they're not even a polish. Their polish isn't even considered a polish, not even a hybrid. It's something else.
Okay.
And we'll get into that later. But
Right.
that's what I'm comparing with. And when people come at me first, they just ask why my nails are painted. Once they realize it's a marketing strategy to compare why this actually lasts longer than these are regular polishes.
Wow.
People are now inclined to buy the product from me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where I would think that product sales would be my, my forte when it comes to me being a nail tech in this industry. Yeah. I'm not a nail tech.
That's what's up. And I hope you guys are listening in because what we just heard was we heard business genius, we heard strategy, and we heard, enterprising efforts there. So, this young man right here, he's got his head on in the right place. Matter of fact, I saw an article not too long ago, and they were saying what's the most valuable intelligence that a person can have towards being successful in business and in life. And you know what the number one was?
Emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence, man. So you in on something right there. So something else that I heard you mention before, I heard you mention the word a couple times, and I want to just kind of tap into that because I want to see how this word relates to some of the challenges or the struggles that you've had. So you mentioned the word perfect, and I can't remember the exact quote that you said in regards to like from imperfection to perfect or something like that. Can you talk to me about the pursuit of perfection for yourself?
Creflo Dollar has a book that just talks about understanding manhood, and he talks about men's main objective in life now is just the fact of measuring up. I just watched. I'm not sure who the young lady was that when we were talking came in and just kind of shifted the room.
My wife.
She shifted the room with her authority.
Yeah.
But where you could see you were securing your masculinity is where you bow down to that in a sense where your manhood didn't take a hit, but you understood emotionally that she might have a little bit more emotional direction is something that my logic will be a blur at. So when you understand that you can do things where people will call you this and that. Yeah. Just make sure you have an understanding of it so you're not going in there faking like, oh, I'm so confident, Those are the worst ones. Because when I be in the rooms, the most confident ones, I'd be like, bro, just relax. You're going to fail.
That's
but
right.
People want to be so perfect that they don't even realize that failure is the best part.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And it's interesting that you saw the encounter with me and Christine. So Christine is the CEO of Metalworks Behavior. She's actually the founder.
Oh yeah,
she found it.
She put something in my heart.
And then 6 months after she found it, then we got together, and then we started to build something together. And it's almost like the game of chess.
Nice.
Like where you play.
I learned in rehab.
Okay, all right. It's a game that's it's a thinking man's game, right? A lot of times when people are giving a dig to somebody, they say, man, you over there, you thinking the game is checkers, but it's actually chess, right? But, when you think of the chessboard, the queen is the position that represents the offense. It represents the assertiveness of the game. And the king represents kind of the protection. And really, his movements are slower and less than, and it's really the queen who's a part of that driving force of the board. And similarly, I like to think Christine and I work well together, but we both kind of have our roles and we both respect each other's roles, and it works for us, man.
For sure.
In certain instances, I acknowledge her leadership,
For sure.
and vice versa.
For sure.
Perfection. There's a saying that people say of don't let perfect get in the way of good. You ever heard that before?
Yeah.
What do you
Shout
think
out to
about
Clean
that?
and Sober.
Okay.
When I was in PIW, I don't know how I got to the psych ward, but I was accidentally placed there, and that's where I actually got enlightened that it's not cute to walk around and say you got mental issues. You know what I'm saying? Once I was diagnosed with mines, it made me appreciate going forward. So I met somebody that helped me to see that you can have a good heart. You know what I'm saying? But what you want to do to get to a level in life where you feel like you've made it, it will cause you to do things and put you in places that your character going to be tested, and you are going to, everybody got a price. And on my walk with Christ, it's just trying to keep your soul priceless. You know what I'm saying? And people are being bought out a dime a dozen right now. And when you have understanding that, yeah, this ain't good, but I just can't do it, then you'll be the regular 9 to 5 guy like me. Yeah. Like I've had my cousin and runs with that life, but look at what it got me. I lucked up enough to leave with addiction. You know what I mean? Some people don't leave with their life, and some people don't leave with their liberty.
Yeah.
But leaving with addiction, I'm the Franklin Saint situation. I just caught wind of it and I corrected it. This thing could have went left.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some people don't come back from that.
Yeah.
And that's where I didn't look at my addiction and rehab as, oh, I'm just an alcoholic and they're on what they're on. You know what I mean? They embraced me to say, oh, actually, no, you got to go over there with the alcoholics. We're in Drugs Anonymous. And that's what helped me to draw the line between my acceptance for marijuana, but I try not to make an excuse for it.
Got you. All right. Let me ask you this, because, when we get into the process of addiction, around here we call it substance use disorder, right?
For sure.
So substance use disorder in the last, 10, 20 years has become a far more popular diagnosis than looking at it exclusively from addiction.
Yeah.
We looked at individuals as addicts during the crack epidemic, but then when the opioid epidemic came out, then people started to align it less with criminal justice and more with health, right? And as a disorder, So I was going to ask you, who do you think, or what do you think is the thing that is preventing you from accessing and living the life of your dreams?
My relationships.
Okay.
I've noticed people have given LeBron just such a hard rag for being in position to make it a little bit easier for his son. It's like we as African Americans identify with trauma so bad that we feel like that's what validates us to be able to be accepted in these realms where success is just a little bit more accessible to others. For me, I'm not going to say the cards were stacked against me, but my mom did the best that she could to put me in environments where I could expound upon, and I ruined every one. She tried to get me to go to Gonzaga. She was going to put up all of the money. I just couldn't get my mind to fathom that we could afford it, and she just was trying to get me to move on faith. Yeah. And I ignored that, and I allowed what reality around me to determine where my mom wanted to show me. She tried to get me in Flint Hill.
Okay.
I squandered that away. It was going to be on some swim stuff. I just never performed when she put me in front of people that could have transcended my situation. So I actually ruined everything,
Yo, and I hear you with that. I hear you loud and clear. But can you open for some coaching?
Absolutely.
Okay. One, we do realize that, with human beings, let me just emphasize with you. I believe in the moment in which you were going through your experiences, you were doing the best that you could with what you knew what to do in the moments that you were there.
Nah, okay. I was more so that my mom, everything gonna be good because my mother's straight. My mother not gonna leave me to really fend for myself. We came up around people like Michael A. Freeman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just being and having relationships like that, you would just think like because your peers and how their parents are set up, they go through trouble, you just gonna have the same thing. And my mom made it very clear that if you get arrested or anything, I'm not coming for you. And I got reality checks over and over again. You know what I'm saying? I just always was. I'm not gonna say I got the gift of gab, but I'll be talking my way out of some stuff, and I try not to abuse that. But that's what be letting me to think that my path might actually be in ministry.
Yeah.
But when I see great pastors, those are the ones that failed constantly over and over again, and I keep failing. Ever since I got the military, constant failure. Even with the nails, I'm gonna say this in camera. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. Like the Instagram following and all of that. You're supposed to use that as a tool to get reach, to bring clientele, and I'm just mastering that now. You gotta be in the right mind, and you gotta have the quality there so that the algorithm will be able to get that reach out. If you just post and try to be mystique and mysterious, you're only gonna like have the people around you thinking about you that way. But if you want to get on a global platform, you gotta put yourself out there, and with a point where people saying you posted too much. No, you actually posted too little. You know what I'm saying? But once you understand how this game works, you start looking at stuff different. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that's the beauty in everybody being different. You know what I'm saying?
A wise man once said to me that most people see the world where the past is set and the future is ambiguous. That where we might go from here, that there could be different, that there's variety in that. But he said it's actually the opposite. He said what's ambiguous is the past, and our future is certain. And basically, my takeaway from that is the idea that sometimes we'll look at ourselves in the past, and we'll see maybe even like patterns of failure, or we'll see patterns where we've always been, like for instance, let's say you have somebody who has had really difficult relationships with companionship, right? And then there'll just be this pattern of like, heartbreak, 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 heartbreak. And then that person's perception will be that, okay, it just doesn't work out. So then that ends up being my pathway. But even just a little adjustment, just to realize that each one of those failed relationships in actuality was a learning lesson, like you said, that could lead to, which is going to lead to success. It's just like a little flick of a viewpoint that might open up new possibilities. It's like the first time you get on a bike, the first 5 or 6 times you fall, but then eventually you get on it and you ride it a little bit and you're like, okay, I'm doing it for a little bit. And then the next time you get on the bike, you're like, is it going to be as hard? And then you get back on the bike and then it's a little smoother. So, I would say that I would ask, like, the way in which you viewed like all of what it's taken to get you to where you are right now, and even some of those failures, what do you think would be a new awareness that you could have that would empower your future?
Well, I would say I've been blessed to be around a lot of death.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You have people who are around death in very traumatic ways that shapes how they view life.
Yeah.
With my mom being a mortician, I've had access to a lot of morbid situations.
Yeah.
And with her being a mortician for about 40 years, even the situation that I am in now as a contractor for GW, I see some very exclusive morbid things that shapes how I take care of my body.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when you look at death as in reverse, instead of it being the ending result, you live life a little bit longer and you live life with a little bit more zest. You know what I'm saying? And you're a little bit more fearless because you just know, like, this is the ending result.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to Miles Monroe. He has, I love his book, Understanding Your True Potential. He has this analogy that the most richest place in the world is a cemetery. And a lot of unlocked potential is there. And for people to understand why I continue pushing with nails is I see how powerful a pedicure is, and I see how powerful the feet are. And people just come up to me always feeling comfortable to talk about their feet. They be taking their shoes off and stuff. I used to get embarrassed, but then I was like, is this guy calling me to be a podiatrist? So I'm currently a contractor at work. I'm not really, work directly for GW. So I found a little loophole that if I'm trying to get accepted into Montgomery College, but if I start, is it a bachelor? I've never been to college. Okay. So if I start there and take that sector, my job would actually pick me up and take my credits and transfer them over to GW. And then
That's
from
what's up.
there, I already work in the medical school building. So that's why this ain't my uniform. Like the scrubs is, but I went to the school store and bought this shirt because it just make me feel like I'm in medical school. And all of the students around me are pursuing medical, but I move by the association law. Yeah, I'm the guy that just clean the trash, but I pick up their notes, I pick up their lessons, and I just study them. And then when they be having problems, I'm not saying I sneak them an answer, but right before they test, I be like, yo, brachialis. He's like, oh, that's
what's up.
got you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It empowers me. It gives me confidence to know that, yeah, 8 years is a long time, but I've been a nice silver fox by then.
Okay, and you kind of like the Goodwill Hunting down there at GW.
I'm
You ever see
trying.
that movie?
Nah,
Okay, with
I guess I missed the
Matt
reference.
Damon. Okay, yeah. That's what's
I
up.
guess you got too comfortable with me being from the 90s.
Exactly, man.
For sure.
All right, so talk to me a little bit more about what the future is
I don't
has for
know.
you, man.
I'm just me being a dad is it's been unlocking things that I didn't even think would have me to selfless and reap. Like people like, don't give your daughter candy, this. Well, my mom didn't give me candy. And I always wanted to feel like would have had that or have an adult say, man. And the people that did that, I still respect them to this day to feel like I can console them in a safe space. They're not here now, but I do that for my daughter. So, yeah, I give her candy. It's not the best. And now I might pay for it when them dental bills hit, but she get like nerve clusters and she only moved for those.
Yeah.
And there was a situation this morning. It was wholesome. I just recorded that she don't get up when I tell her, but if I crunch this bag, she pops up and she's buried under my coat and everything.
Hilarious.
But it's like crazy how a child can identify the sound texture to know that that's not a potato chip bag. That's the nerd cluster bag. She popped up. I tagged them. And I knew that there were some things in the story that would have them as a company say, we can't repost this. But them liking it set me up to understand that, yeah, repost that so that they can see that we thought it was wholesome, but it's just not, it's not in a position for us to repost it. If you were to clean it up, we maybe, just maybe. That's what I read from that. If you can read situations, you might know what to do next. But you have to have a level of emotional intelligence to know that a vibe is sent with messages. And if you could break a message down, you'll be able to read between the lines.
Yeah, that's an advanced science there. There are not too many books that'll teach you how to be able to read the tea leaves, as they say.
Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. He got 2 versions.
Yeah.
I've read the 1936 version when I was on restriction.
Okay.
I had to stay on the ship. I couldn't leave, but they had a little library there. And then when I got off restriction, I found out the book was revised, and it's called Daniel Carnegie's How to Win Friends, Influence People in the Digital Age. So one came out in 1936, and one came out in 2012. And in 2012, it just revises everything that he said, like in there, like the power of remembering someone's name.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Smiling. Like people probably think I have like a rough demeanor, but as soon as I smile, now they're welcome. Now they talk. And I got to realize that me being and having manic depression and putting this on my face, it hindered my future just a tad, So I work around that with a smile.
Okay, good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right, so you mentioned like some of the quality of the nail polish that you're working with. What do you think are what do you think the potential future can be, or the possibility of what polishes can be, and do you see yourself as a part of the future in regards to strategy and planning around your industry?
If I'm just allowed one opportunity to partner with a company that shares with me a mission statement that makes sense, I'll run with it, and I will just go 100% out. Dazzle Dry seems to have the one that fits the most. In my industry, there's divides. You have nail techs that specifically do things that involve a polygel adhesion that's called Gel-X or a Prey Nails. That has its own sector, and it has, certain conflicts between other nail techs who maybe are licensed and maybe have to pay more for their equipment, and see that this sector makes more because it's just a little bit easier, so they feel shortchanged. And the industry has a lot of gray areas where you can still make good money, but like I just wouldn't hurt nobody, because if they see that you're popular and you're not licensed, they coming for that first, no matter how much they love you and stuff like that. That's why I stopped shop for a lot of the stuff that I was doing on when I was on the hustle tip, because you can make this name for yourself and look at the veneer people. You know what I'm saying? It was innocent at first. You know what I mean? It was helping people run away, and then it just got to a point where it was global and people started to become affected based on areas that just wasn't people didn't have attention to detail to keep looking, so they got lax. And that was probably a beautiful situation where somebody could have just nurtured it, but this is a situation where it could have been like that. I could have like cut somebody and affected somebody and not been licensed, and you would not be looking at the nail tech that you see now.
Right.
So a lawsuit's different from addiction.
Yeah, I understand that. So with nail adornment, what do you think is like most of the ladies who come to you, or the gentlemen who come to you, why do they do that? Why do they feel a sense of that being important?
I think I sell an experience.
Okay.
They don't. My talent is what wows them, but the experience is what holds them, because they're just trying to figure out you're an enigma. Like, you do this, you do that, you do this. Why are you doing that? Because I failed. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking for perfection, like you said, and I've managed to find perfection through my failures, like I told you in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I failed so bad at the Navy that I've never been able to just have that one shot that leveled the playing field. Nails is getting me there, but I haven't had that one situation that just balances it out, where that I now feel like I've overcome that past trauma.
Got you. The word failure. Let me ask you about that word failure. Like, when you think of and you mention the failures that you've had, are you describing heartbreak, or are you describing the spirit of resiliency that you were able to overcome, or course correct, or continue your evolution?
Neither, actually. Failure is a state. You know what I mean? I learned in Avery Road. That was the last safe house I was in before I came home. They were just teaching about living in the now.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And if you understand what failure is and living in the now, you got so much stuff going on if you really are active and shaping and finding your purpose, that you don't have time to even focus on a failure, because when you're picking up the pieces, you're using those pieces to get to the next part.
Yeah.
So that's why, I guess social media and this generation has put so much emphasis on failure that it has its own category. Like, people don't even look at it in a situation like a Venn diagram where it has bad, good, and you look at the middle. So
Yeah. All right. So, and I'm gonna just give you a moment. I don't know if there's something that you want to share with our audience, or any question that you might want to ask me, or any final thought that you might have on your mind, or
just take it easy on black men that wear polish. We can't do much. You know what I'm saying? And then you don't know who's silently battling with their identity, and they might use nail polish as a way to express their identity in a more, softer way, because they might come off a little bit too aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So take it easy on them, but I'm not saying don't take it lightly, because it is different, and it does come with social sciences that people will refuse to understand based on where they are in their generational state. Like, you know what I mean? If they come from this generation or that. So that's all I'm just saying. Be empathetic of it. I actually want to apologize to Davy Ruffin.
Okay.
I could have handled how I responded to his opinion a little bit more different. I could have pulled him offline, but I guess in a sense I was looking for clout. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to have that bravado, like, you don't mess with guys who paint their nails, because we do this, and they actually painted the wrong picture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
got you with that. I don't know what happened with that, but
he'll know.
Okay, I think you.
He'll know. And then people who follow me, they'll know. Okay. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to use this platform as a way to heal situations that could possibly better my future.
I love it, man. Grown men don't have a problem apologizing, man. It's good to see you do that, brother.
For sure.
All right, so guys, thank you guys for checking in on us and coming in and participating and listening in. So, talk to you guys later.
For sure.
All right.